Good morning, guys. Welcome back to the McDaniel Motorsports channel. Chris here. Just finally got that Razor done and out of my garage last week, and I am back on the Charger full-time. So gonna be filming some footage of that, of course, and all the regular detail we normally give you guys. Hopefully you're into that. But we're kind of here at the channel, we're really not into hiding things. I want to show you the whole story. So again, it goes both ways. If we miss something, give us a shout. Let us know what you want to see, and chances are maybe it didn't make it on the final cut, or whatever the case may be. But I want you guys to get full value out of this channel, and it's the whole point of it's helping you guys learn. So and we learn along with you a lot of the time. So we certainly don't know everything, but enough gabbing. Let me get in position. So I'm gonna lock down the steering center link, tie rod ends, and put some cotter pins in that stuff. Not super riveting footage, sorry, but it's part of the deal. And I also need to cycle the suspension full lock to lock, and make sure my quick steer arms don't contact anything. So the reason I say that is because I remember reading somewhere that the quick steer pitman arm and the idler arm are actually obviously longer, and sometimes they do contact other components in the mix. So I don't remember where I read that, but I read it along the way of absorbing instructions and whatnot. So that's first and foremost. So let me get my light and get going here. Alright, so cycle this steering all the way to that side. Oh, let's go this way. Be okay to me. I'm not able to go full lock because of where the jack stands are. However, all looks pretty good. Yeah, that one too. Yeah. I mean, the pitman arm side actually looks even more clear than the passenger side, so I think I'm good. It might rub a little bit, but I guess we'll figure it out later. I could easily change the pitman arm and the idler arm if they do swing too far, or if I don't like the way it fits, or I'm sorry, the way it steers. So yeah, that's not a big deal. I just wanted a fast ratio for fast corrections. So anyway, let's move on to tightening stuff. As you'll notice, this is aftermarket. This is OEM, factory. I don't know what happened to these guys over the years. These probably were replaced several times, and I think the mechanics were like, don't need those, just put new ones on. They just tossed them. So I have two, and two is better than none, right? I need to get this car on the ground, or at least sitting on its suspension today. The front passenger fender, where I pulled that tape off too quickly and took paint with it, got fixed yesterday. I'll show you guys that in a minute. My buddy Rod, who painted the car, is actually in town visiting, and coincidentally he was happy to do that for me, so I was really happy about that. I was so upset about that, but everything could be fixed. It just sucked. And for those of you who don't know, there's holes drilled in these stems, threaded stems on these joints here. It's typically just a ball joint, but it's, in this case, it's a tie rod end and a pitman arm, which are tapered seats. So if I was to remove this nut after tightening it, it wouldn't come off. And for those of you who don't know, this is all basic stuff, but for those who don't know, I've never taken this stuff apart, and there's two ways to remove these. With a hammer and just by whacking this. It's a little more difficult with a steering system because it deflects a lot while hitting it. Since this is all painted up and pretty, I would probably use just a pitman arm puller. Basically, so I'm only putting pressure on the joint end and around the top of the link arm. So you kind of want to leave this stuff loose until you're totally sure you can tighten it. Ask me how I know. That's me. I used to do that stuff, and I'm like, not anymore. I gotta stop. Once it's painted, and you touch it, it's never the same. So let me grab some cotter pins here. And you put the long side down. So make sure I'm showing this right. Put the long side. See how there's two different ends? This long side, wait a minute. Make sure I'm telling you what's correct. Yeah. So the long side goes out. So basically it's gonna go in like this. That's, I mean, I'm sure it's debated. There's probably some people in the audience that'll disagree with me, but I've always put this guy because there's extra material on the outside. Basically, it's the one that bends all the way around the top of the threaded stud. So, but again, it's widely debated, and how to leave them is also a widely debated topic as well. But in all reality, these things are so in there, they're not going to fall out. Nice. OEM nuts are kind of a pain, actually. And then, of course, front to back. See how just the littlest stuff just takes forever? So this is how I was always taught. And the guy that taught me this was a race car driver, drove off-road for many, many years. So off-road guys really know what vibrates off and what works and doesn't work, in my opinion. But just basically need to trim that right about there and trim this just back a little bit. But yeah, it's pretty much the way it's going to be. You just don't want it to snag on anything, so I always like to kind of tuck it in after I'm done cutting it. That's how that's supposed to look. I am going to put some red paint marker on it just to tell future myself that I've already tightened these and they're good to go. Cotter pin's kind of a dead giveaway, but just want to make sure at a glance I've touched everything. Let me get this guy now. That right there. I'm going to leave these guys loose because I want to set the toe as soon as I get it on the ground and kind of roll it back and forth. You can see my red paint marks up there. That's just temporary paint, or it's really just a marker, but I use a paint pen. It's just a little more durable. And I got, as you can see, I got to get my upper and lower ball joint cotter pins in there, and so I'll be under here for a little while today. Aren't you guys lucky? And the last step will be shooting a couple puffs of grease in these Zerk fittings just to get them started. Strange. Weird. Huh. Well, the stem didn't seem long enough. Huh. That's strange. Weird. Notice how I don't use power tools for final assembly, and there's nothing wrong with it if you know your tool very well, which I know mine. I prefer to do it by hand because I don't have to come back and tighten it or check it, and it just, to me, it's just neater and doesn't beat on the nuts and hardware as much, so you have a cleaner finished product, in my opinion. But it doesn't mean I'm right, it just means that's how I do things. Plus, it keeps your wrists nice and strong. I do use them in disassembly though. That is the thing I do. That would just take too long, just assembling stuff that's not painted and rusty. Makes a lot of sense to use power tools or electric tools, in my opinion. Yeah, that's weird. I got these idler arms from PST, Performance Suspension Technologies. They're cost effective, but I thought they were pretty good stuff. But this is really weird. I might be able to get another half turn on that. I could see the hole, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to get that pin through there. Get my tighten up the pitman arm and the idler arm here. Let me grab some tools real quick. I'll be right back. Don't make fun of me. I'm using a giant crescent wrench. Not to scratch anything. I'm really excited about this steering box. I hear good things. I debated on running a power steering cooler. I talked to Mancini Racing, and they don't seem to recommend that. It's I guess I won't until I have problems. But it seemed like a good idea at the time. We all know how my good ideas end up. I know some of you are just cringing right now, and that's okay. Go on this side. Good to go. Steering is pretty done. I had to do the upper and lower ball joint pins. Steering feels super nice and tight. Get you guys set up here in the fan. Hopefully the noise isn't too bad. Yeah, this was kind of tricky getting into there, but it is in. I just got to wrap it around the backside there. While I was up here, I put this guy into. I was able to use a OEM fastener on this guy. You know, Willwood actually supplies you hardware, but I'm a little sentimental when it comes to the OEM stuff. Plus, I worked my butt off on media blasting all this stuff and painting it, and yeah, so I wanted to use it, but you can tell these 12 points are not factory, and if the OEM ones were long enough I would have used them, but they weren't because of this. You're adding this plate here, that's for the disc brake caliper so yeah, you gotta make compromises once in a while. Not that this looks OEM by any stretch of the imagination, but it's the OEM concept, we'll say. Torsion bars, these arms, strut rods, stock OEM spindle, aftermarket upper and lower from QA1. And what's a dead giveaway from a distance? You can tell usually these Mopars, when they're all drooped out, meaning suspension fully suspended off the ground, not under a jack, but fully suspended, these tires in the front are typically super negative camber at the bottom of the curve. But you can tell with these upper control arms, they actually make them long enough to affect that camber curve, so that the camber curve obviously changes as the suspension goes up and down, but the starting point is really sweet. I mean, these things are just about zero. I mean, I haven't put a level on it or anything, but from what I'm looking at here, it's pretty well straight up and down, and there's no tension on the suspension at all. You can see it's jacked up on the frame there, so that should be a testament to this product. It is in my eyes, and I paid retail for this stuff, so I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but honestly, I've installed a lot of their stuff, and it's 99.9% spot on, so I'm happy with it. But I did want to keep the torsion bars and the traditional suspension design on this car. It was important to me, and I think maybe to the next buyer, who knows, if I end up selling it. So, but I'm building it to buy it, or sorry, I'm building it to keep it, and that's just kind of the mindset I like to use when I'm building it, so I don't cut corners, because I always end up redoing it anyway. So let me move to the other side. up, buddy? That's Cosmo. He doesn't like being on camera. Oh, buddy. It's the most selfish animal in the world, right there. I'd say he's a good boy, but he's not. He's kind of a jerk. Anyway. Alright, so this is ready for a paint marker on this side. I gotta go over this side now, get my upper and lower ball joints pinned. You can see the holes there. Let me get set up. Trying to reveal the crappy angle, so I am stupid thing. I don't know why these spindles are so close to these ball joint nuts. It's kind of annoying, but it should be all right. Let me pause for a sec. I gotta have 2 hands for this. Done. There was some profanity used, and I didn't want to upset the children watching. So yeah, that's done. I remember them being a bitch when I just threw this front end together to get it on the ground to go paint it, and I'm like, oh, it's probably because it's not tight. So I didn't seat the upper and lower ball joints. I just kind of had them threaded on just to roll the car. But anyway, long story short, they are in with the pin. Get this guy next, and we should be wrapped up as far as cotter pins go. Alright, so I'm going to show my I guess infancy with Dodge products. I've never set one of these up before, so that should, you know, give you the mindset to, hey, you can do this too. If I can do it, any dummy can do it. So I've got them at 0 preload, or I'm sorry, at 0 lash rather. So basically the end of the adjuster is just contacting the little arm inside there. I'm going to start out, there's no tension on them right now, so I'm going to start out at 7 turns. Let's go with 7 and see where that puts us as far as ride height goes, because the rear end it's a Hotchkiss leaf spring and it's 1 inch lower than stock, so I want to try to kind of match that. I obviously don't want a Carolina squat, and I'm cool with a little bit down in the front, but as you can see, my oil pan is the skid plate, unfortunately, and the other one was like down at here, so that's why I went with this guy. The other one didn't have baffles in it either, or trap doors, and this one does. It's got a 360-degree trap door system in it, which is what I wanted. And I'm also going to add a AccuSump as well, but I need to get this thing at ride height first, and one of the reasons is because I have it tight. You can't tighten these guys until the weight is on the front suspension. And these are the stems that come through from the lower control arms. So they're just kind of, in fact, I should not snug them, but take the slack out of them, just so they don't bind. But the directions say not to tighten these guys up until it's under its own weight. So that's kind of what I'm going after. So I'm going to get these guys down to 0 lash as well, and then put 7 turns on the torsion bar adjusters, and we'll see what that gets us. And I got 24 minutes left on this card, so if it cuts off abruptly, it will return as abruptly as it went off. Just until that washer under this nut stops moving. Alright. That's good. This other one. Okay. So guy still just lashed out right there, so I'm going to this only do 4. I guess I can only do quarters. Trying to think of how I can keep track of my turns. That's a half. Actually, let me grab an extension, then I can do a full half turn at least. Yeah, it's just easier when you can do full turns, but if you can't do full turns, just do half turns. So with this jack stand in the way, it's hard to do a full turn, so two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now that's probably not enough, but I'm going to start with 7 and just go from there. Really now the only adjustment I need to make is the torsion arms. No. Why am I drawing a blank on this? They're not torsion. I guess they are torsion arms. Torsion rods. Yeah, you know, it gets kind of mixed up with the torsion bars, but these control the A-arm this way. If you can see that with my hand, or I'm trying to get it in the way. It basically control the A-arm this I don't know what's going on with this. Basically this way. Basically front to back. it controls the lower control arm's deflection. Hopefully that makes sense, because apparently I can't talk today. So, alright, so I've got everything buttoned up except for the tie rod adjusters. Those have to be loose in order to make a toe adjustment once it's sitting under its own weight. Unfortunately, I can't get an accurate toe measurement until I can roll the car front and backwards, because it'll just get too cramped up, if you will. I don't know what other word to describe that as, but basically you have to be able to roll the car forward and backwards a couple feet in order for the front end to relax on the ground. So I'm going to be putting these tires on those blocks, our race blocks that we made. So I think it's time for paint pen. Let's find which one of these works. Basically just putting a dab right where the bolt meets the link, the center link. Same thing with the pitman arm. Kind of see that, how that works. Pretty straightforward. I would prefer to use red, but I don't have any. Alright. That's about it. They only need to be marked front or back, but they don't need both. Let's see here. Alright, so I'm going to change this. And now, a brake for big block sounds. Too many better sounds than that. Today's big block brake is brought to you by a 535-inch big block Ford. It's going to be very similar to the Charger's engine. Actually, it's a little bit nastier than the Charger's engine, but Charger's a little bit lighter, so it should be just a little scary, just like I like them. Don't look that bad. I should clarify that these are not the right size tires. I bought them, basically I bought the wheels and the tires came on for free. They're 215s in the front and 225s in the back. I think what I'm going to do is hopefully I can get a 255 under the front, and I think I'm limited to a 275 in the back. I wanted to do a 295, but I really don't want to cut any sheet metal at this point. I should have fit those long ago. I don't want the tires to rub either, but so it's, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, that's the plan. But these tires they're 4 years old. They were just a bonus. I like bonuses like that. You can take every bonus you can get when you're building a car. It is expensive.